Slippin' Jimmy is now El Follow Gustavo. I don't know. House Republicans wrote a letter to Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, and the DOJ saying, hey, there's a pretty big insurance scheme, fraud, criminal crime ring going on. Maybe we should take a look at it. The Coalition Against Insurance Fraud says that insurance fraud costs the U.S. about $300 billion per year, $45 billion attributed to property and casualty insurance fraud. But here's where I think it gets super interesting. Actually, before that, the Republicans noted that a crime ring operated in Louisiana was staging vehicle accidents in order to collect insurance payments with commercial trucks, and 63 people were indicted for that. This is where I think it gets super interesting, and I'm going to read a direct quote from the letter to Pam Bondi from the congressional committee here. It also appears that illegal immigrants are being recruited as a part of these schemes, sometimes as a requirement to repay coyotes who help them cross the border. Numerous cases highlighted the intersection of illegal immigration and alleged abuse of the personal injury system, with some plaintiffs reportedly using litigation loans and workers' compensation payments to repay debts owed to human smugglers. In other words, people are getting smuggled across the board by the coyotes and the cartels, and then because they don't have any money to pay the coyotes and cartels, they say, all right, well, once I get across the board, I'll participate in your staged fake commercial truck vehicle accident and then collect insurance and workers' comp from the U.S. taxpayer. Fantastic. They list an example, too, that I thought was interesting. For example, in February 2023, Angel Peralta Ordonez, an undocumented immigrant from Ecuador, call them illegals. I don't know why Republicans or conservatives don't just say illegal immigrants. Anyways, this dude filed a workers' compensation claim just 2 months after living in the United States, later admitting in deposition that he used $15,000 in litigation loans and $6,000 from workers' compensation to settle a $21,000 smuggling debt. Additional reports such as these in the New York Post alleged MS-13 gang members and Russian criminal networks orchestrate industry claims pressuring migrants, illegal immigrants, into unnecessary surgeries to inflate lawsuit settlements. I think it should be said and needs to be understood that criminals aren't stupid, right? The cartels and the people smuggling folks across the border are not dumb people, and they understand the laws, the culture, the society that we exist in, and will exploit it if we let them. Insurance fraud is already a big enough problem to have to deal with U.S. citizens. I'm not sure I understand why we would allow people to come across the border who are clearly doing the same thing just to compound a burden that we already have. And this all goes without saying, too, that it's an incredible risk to humans. It's not like this is just some people that don't matter at all. These are human beings that are putting their lives at risk because the United States doesn't enforce the rules that it already has on the books, and therefore, in order to exploit it, the bad people are making people who may have no better option do very dangerous things to themselves. Here's the idea. You close the border. You still have to deal with insurance fraud. That's not ever going away. But maybe you lessen it just a little bit if the illegals aren't also participating.